Today we are looking at using a PAM miner. The first thing you do is go into the behavioral menu and start looking at the various options there. For the most part, with the StonVik miners, this is what you want, what you're seeing here, and feel free to pause and back up to verify you've got good numbers in there. After that, record path and set home, and then work your way to your job site. The StonVik line of PAM miners is available on the workshop. There are two currently. One of them is this one, which is the base model. The other one is the DSM-X, which is the exploration model. It has an additional block in it for an O2H2 generator so that you can, I don't know, go 300 kilometers from your home without having to carry a sack full of oxygen bottles. This particular ship is balanced 4.5 on thrust just fine, but the sideways and up and down thrusts are only 4 small thrusters each, so you need to be cautious with making 90-degree turns at speed because you're going to skid, so to speak. But as long as you stay in more or less straight lines and are careful with your corners, you don't need the overhead of 6-way balanced thrusters. And this is only good in space. You need to stay out of a gravity well with these. We are approaching the selected mine deposit that I want to work with. This one is a uranium deposit. I picked uranium because it's got a very poor ore to volume ratio. So you'll get a clear idea of the difference between what happens when you're mining ore and what you do with the stone that comes up as a byproduct of that. Okay, once you've lined up on what you want to do, go to your mining job. In this case, we're going to do a 3 wide by 3 high by 30 meter drill. We're going to change that later, and I need to show you both why and how you might want to do that. We're taking a guess here that there is ore 30 meters deep. I happen to know that that's wrong, but you have to pick a number to start with, and it's better to go a little too deep than a little too shallow. I have the HUD turned off mostly for cinematic reasons. It's just not necessary to stare at all that while this is happening. And it's a little easier to see what's going on here if you don't have all that cluttering up the screen. Now it has drilled through the uranium ore into the stone, and it is ejecting that stone now. The ejection pattern that I use in space is the in-motion pattern, where it will back up to a fixed distance from your mining hole and just slowly go around in a circle, spitting out stone. this keeps it from getting plugged up, although it will occasionally still get an ejection failed message. If that happens, stop the job, move to job position, go in like you're going to set up a new job, but don't make any changes. Just click Start Job, and it will basically go back and retrace the steps it took to get where it was, which means going in and out and over and down and sideways as many times as it needs to get back to the position it was in when it got stuck. Worst case, if you're not monitoring it while it's operating in remote mode, it will simply come back to the base with a final message that says ejection failed, and it will unload, it will recharge, and all you have to do is click continue job and it will go back to the job site and continue from there. Doesn't cost anything but a little time. Okay, clearly we are not in uranium ore here. This is just stone we're looking at. So when this thing starts backing out, I'm going to bring up the PAM software and make a guesstimate as to how far in we are too far. You can see the target distance there. From experience with this, I took a guess at 8 meters. We need to chop 8 meters off the back of the depth. And that's how you do it. Go up to change job, click that, go to continue job, and there you go. That is both the why and how you change one of these jobs. You can see it goes back into the hole it was already digging, goes to the depth you told it to go to, and just backs out. Now, if it happened that we got 30 meters in and there was still ore, you can do the same thing the other direction. Add another 5 or 10 meters to the depth and see if you hit stone. There are depth modes that are more complex than the default one that I use, but frankly I don't see the purpose of them, because just a little bit of hands-on management of this just makes it easy enough to do this. The basics of all of this also work on planetary mining, but you'll want a different drop strategy for your stone, and that'll vary based on whether you're mining horizontally or vertically. It's just something to experiment with till you find the one you like. Another nice thing about this, although PAM itself doesn't use tunneling mode, it's not possible to automate that. But if you're trying to build a base cut into an asteroid or a hill, you can simply mine the stone and eject it, or mine the stone and collect it and use it, and build yourself a nice squared off tunnel or cave as deep as you want it to be. I've done them through an asteroid one time that was 500 meters thick. I just wanted a tunnel going through it for aesthetic reasons. I planned on using it as a dry dock. That didn't actually work out. I get bored with a playthrough and just start over a lot. But if that's what you want to just make a big dry dock in the middle of an asteroid, set up a PAM miner to either eject the stone or bring it back and make ingots out of it, and just let it go to town. Might take a few days, but it'll be there. I really was going to do that in this game, but happened my starting location, there was a pair of asteroids close enough together that I could just build a base between them. You'll see that on approach. On the flight out, you didn't get a good look at it. This is a fairly lengthy process, and I don't like the idea of fast forwarding through it, but feel free to just kind of shove the slider over to the right if you really want to see the end of how things go here. Little spoiler, there's not enough uranium in this to fill the ship up, so it's going to do all 9 holes. It doesn't take a lot of time, but I think this whole video is about 40 minutes long, so it's kind of an ASMR thing for me to just watch my miners work. I usually have 4 or 5 of them going at once until I've just overflowed my base with ingots, and I don't know, that's when I usually get bored and go try something else, because I'm not that interested in building battleships. But if you are interested in building battleships, you don't want to spend all your time mining. This is definitely the way to go. I don't run a lot of mods. On this one I'm running build info, a skybox that has a ×4 speed mod built into it, and ore detector plus, which makes the small grid ore detectors good to 300 meters and the large grid good to 1,000. Seems like there might be one more, but I don't know what it is. I run on my own server, as in it's about 4 feet from the box I'm gaming on, because I have too many computers. I want to say there are 6 in the house right now, including 2 Pis and an Arduino. We are getting close to the end here. I think. Okay, you can see it moving back to the center, which will tell you that it is either full or done with the job. I think that also happens if ejection fails. Now the flight out, I took advantage of the fact that I've got a 4x speed mod, so I zipped along at 460 meters per second. Flight back, PAM is flying this thing, and it won't go above 100 meters per second. I mean, it will if you tell it to, but it's dangerous. You can see the status right here if you hit 6 on the menu bar. It says the job's done. This isn't as sexy as shooting ships in space, but this is where the money comes from, so unless you really like micromanaging mining ships in space, PAM is definitely the way to go. Everything I've done with this you can also do remotely, provided you make sure that both your base and the ship have a sufficient antenna range, and you have a PAM controller on the base. You don't actually have to have a PAM controller, but if you're managing more than one ship, it's smart. I have a forward flight camera on this that gives almost this same view. Also, that F6 button on this is the command camera. That's, I don't know, a couple of blocks tucked away somewhere in a corner on this thing, where you've got a camera looking at a transparent LCD mounted in front of a black armor block to make it really easy to see. The bump rails on this thing, they're really not necessary. PAM is not going to wreck your ship against the sides, at least not in space. But I thought they looked cool. I don't usually do a lot just for aesthetics, but I don't know. Without it, it looked like the only way to make this thing not look like a big lump was to just stuff armor blocks everywhere, and I get tired of building bricks. We get closer, you'll get a chance to see the base sandwiched in between two asteroids. Something I'm going to look for going forward is asteroids close enough together to build between. I haven't had anything follow one of my ships home and try to tear up the base, but I've got two different arrays of Gatling guns on opposing corners of this thing, and there's only a single plane of approach available, so they're not going to get too much into me before they get chewed up. We're a couple of minutes from the end of this video. I want to thank you for watching. If you got this far, absolutely it's fine if you skipped over the middle for about 6.5 of those holes. I certainly did when I was making the voiceover. Once this thing docks, I think I'll bring up the status on it one more time just so you can see what's happened, but it unloads itself. I do not use sorters to do that. I use Izzy's inventory manager. Works much better. Since this ship both pulls and pushes inventory through the same connector, trying to set all that up with sorters on the base can be troublesome. If Izzy's looks a little complex, for this purpose, you don't need to do anything but install it. On the base, in a programmable block, the default state will handle loading and unloading your ships with what needs to be in there. If you're running a hydrogen miner and need ice on board, you might need to set up special container to put ice in, but it's not tough to do. Anyway, that's it. You can see, job is done. You have a good day.